AEW confirms that former TNA X Division champion Speedball Mike Bailey is on his way to All Elite Wrestling. Chris Jericho retains the Ring of Honor World Championship last night on AEW Collision. Cope takes out Pac with a concerto. Mariah May attacks Timeless Tony Storm. And a Hollywood ending is announced for AEW Revolution. An update on the injuries to Killswitch as well as Sky Blue. More details on Bloodline members that could be on their way to WWE television soon. We've got an update on Jordynne Grace's WWE contract despite being on the NXT brand. New Japan Pro Wrestling's Gabe Kidd is on AEW Collision last night. Hologram returns to in-ring competition. An AEW World Tag Team Championship #1 contenders match is confirmed. Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher is confirmed for a steel cage match at AEW Revolution. Several matches are confirmed for next week's edition of AEW Dynamite, plus WWE edits out a botch from Monday Night Raw this week. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's begin with what a lot of people knew was on the way. We'd heard it for quite some time, but now it has been confirmed by AEW themselves. Speedball Mike Bailey is finally coming to AEW. His impending debut was teased during AEW Collision with a vignette confirming his move from TNA as had been expected last year. No date was given for when he is scheduled to make his full debut. The former X Division champion was reportedly expected to join AEW after finishing up with TNA in November last year, dropping the title in his final match with the promotion against Moose and finishing his 2024 indie schedule with DPW in December. At that event, he likewise finished up by dropping the DPW tag titles alongside Jake Something to Dominic Garrini and Kevin Koo. Bailey spent 3 years signed to TNA, accruing as many X Division titles during his tenure, but never managing to use Option C nor win the World Championship. He also carved a name out globally, working for promotions around the world, the likes of New Japan, Rev Pro, GCW, AAA, Maple Leaf, and DDT Pro Wrestling, as well as a single Ring of Honor appearance prior to the brand's acquisition by AEW President Tony Khan. Now, as far as more details on officially becoming All Elite, Bailey, as I mentioned, finished up with TNA Wrestling in late October, but his deal with the company ran through the end of the year. According to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, there was interest from both AEW and WWE. Bailey was unable to work elsewhere else until January 1st, and the deal was official in January. The deal is a multi-year agreement. Now, Fightful Select are reporting that the delay in his debut for AEW was related to visa-related issues, which Fightful have been told are in the approval process. Speedball used an agent in securing his new deal. Now, speaking of AEW Collision last night, Chris Jericho was in the main event, and Chris Jericho retained his Ring of Honor World Championship over Bandito. Bandito has been feuding with the Learning Tree and his branches, Brian Keith and Big Bill, since his return at December's Final Battle event to confront the Ring of Honor World Champion. He defeated Keith in his first AEW match in 603 days on Collision 2 weeks ago, going on to pin Jericho in trios action at Ring of Honor / AEW Global Wars in Australia a few days later. There were moments on Saturday where it appeared he may repeat the feat to win his second reign with the title, hitting a frog splash and a roll-up for respective near falls after a fairly evenly fought bout wherein Bandito had kicked out of a code breaker and escaped an extended stretch in the Lion Tamer submission. It was the luchador that appeared to have the bout under wraps from a rolling crossbody, earning yet another near fall before following up with a knee strike. He looked for the 21-plex to finish things off, but Jericho caught him with the roll-up to get the winning pinfall and promptly escaped the ring with his title. That makes it 2 wins and 2 for Jericho over Bandito with the Ring of Honor World title on the line, having first beat his predecessor in his first reign in 2022. Jericho's latest victory over Bandito marks the third defense of this reign, 123 days at the time of recording. Now, Cope continues to get closer to AEW Revolution and continues his war with the Death Riders. TNT champion Daniel Garcia, Daddy Magic Matt Menard, and Cool Hand Angelo Parker recently crossed paths with the Death Riders on the February 8th episode of AEW Dynamite, and tensions between the six men have led to an AEW World Trios Championship match. On Saturday's episode of AEW Collision, the Death Riders defended their trios titles against Garcia and 2.0, and while Pac, Wheeler Yuta, and Claudio Castagnoli retained the titles, a post-match altercation with the AEW World Championship challenger Cope left the champions in shambles, with World Champion Jon Moxley watching on in horror. Parker and Yuta began the contest, with Parker getting in some swift offense onto Yuta before attempting an early 2-count pin. Yuta quickly tagged in Castagnoli, and the Death Riders efficiently split the ring as Pac also delivered some shots shots onto Parker, the tide briefly shifted when Parker managed to tag in Menard, who laid some similarly quick blows onto Pac for a 2-count pin cover. 2.0 worked magnificently with Garcia as the three men fought valiantly against the Death Riders. The Death Riders did not find completely their footing until the last moments of the match. After much interference from Garcia and 2.0, the Death Riders isolated Parker. Castagnoli struck Parker with an uppercut, and Parker was forced to tap when Pac cinched in the Brutalizer immediately after that. However, in typical Death Rider fashion, the champions proceeded to beat down Garcia and 2.0 before the Undisputed Kingdom arrived to make the save. Adam Cole and Garcia had a brief stare down before Cole superkicked Pac. By the time Cope arrived with a company of 2 chairs, the Death Riders had retreated to the crowd, leaving Pac to the Undisputed Kingdom. Moxley watched with a dissociative stare as Cope laid out Pac with a concerto. Medical staff quickly attended to Pac's lifeless body as the Death Riders' horrified expressions closed out the segments. Saturday's title defense marks the Death Riders' 6th AEW World Trios Championship defense in their 182-day reign. The Death Riders won the titles back at All In 2024 in a London ladder match, while Pac, Yuta, and Castagnoli's next challenges remain to be seen. Cope's post-match run-in is part of his hunt for the Death Riders and Jon Moxley's AEW World Championship. Of course, they're set to clash in the main event at AEW Revolution. Now, speaking of Revolution, a big Women's World Championship match has been confirmed. Timeless Toni Storm seemed to have earned her Hollywood ending at AEW Grand Slam Australia when she defeated her former protege and bitter enemy Mariah May in a bitter act of revenge following her loss at AEW All In 2024. However, Storm and May's cinematic feud is now set to become a trilogy, as both women are now slated to meet face-to-face in 2 weeks' time at AEW Revolution. An irate and hysterical May opened Saturday's episode of AEW Collision with a brutal backstage attack on Storm. May dragged Storm onto the ramp and landed a Storm Zero on the champion before Phoenix's very eyes. May demanded for Storm's timeless spotlight before dragging the limp champion into her lap. Quote, "Look what you made me do. Look what you made me do," May wailed. "You never did know how to write an ending, did you?" May cradled Storm in her arms as she promised to write an ending for the champion in Storm's own blood. The segment ended with May announcing a third and final showdown at Los Angeles' upcoming AEW Revolution event before mocking Storm's iconic timeless pose. Storm and May's story began half a year ago when May betrayed her mentor on the July 10, 2024 edition of AEW Dynamite. The two feuded until May dethroned Storm for the AEW Women's World Championship at All In last year. Storm evened the record in Australia when she defeated May to take home the AEW Women's World Championship for a record-breaking 4th time. The Seat of Angels is now set to have a tiebreaker between the two bitter enemies as May strives to give Storm a proper Hollywood ending. Now, a bit of an injury update here on several absent AEW stars. While legitimate injuries and medical issues are not uncommon in professional wrestling, the absence of 2 of AEW's trademark stars have certainly been felt within their respective divisions. Sky Blue and Killswitch, formerly known, of course, as Luchasaurus, have been out of action since July and September 2024, respectively. And while whispers of in-ring returns for both stars may be circulating around professional wrestling circles, it seems that Blue and Killswitch's returns are more complicated than the rumors let on. On a recent episode of All Elite Talk, Blue and Killswitch, real name Austin Mattelson, were rumored to be cleared for a return. However, it has been reported that both competitors' health situations and return plans are more complicated than originally thought. According to Fightful Select, those who are familiar with both competitors' medical status claim that Blue and Killswitch are close to being cleared, but both must be cleared by their medical providers and AEW, which are 2 different processes. Blue, who has been out of action for the past 6 months with a broken ankle, has reportedly been pushing for a speedy recovery and return, and even was healthy enough to travel to Australia to support boyfriend Kyle Fletcher at AEW Grand Slam Australia. AEW, however, was not expecting to have Blue back until springtime and reportedly has no creative plans for her. Mattelson's return plans are reportedly on a to-be-determined basis, given the severity of his medical complications and the strong likelihood of a medical relapse. Mattelson suffered an undisclosed health complication that resulted in severe pneumonia late September, and reports from October state that a return to in-ring competition in the near future was unlikely given his fragile health. Subsequently, no creative plans for Mattelson have been reported just yet. Now, a bit of an update here when it comes to members of the Bloodline we've yet to see on WWE television. Tensions are currently brewing within the new Bloodline, with Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu butting heads since Solo's loss to Roman Reigns on the Raw Netflix premiere on January 6th. With tensions within the new Bloodline brewing, fans have speculated about the future of the group with the potential addition of new members, namely Hikuleo and Lance Anoa'i, who are both signed to WWE. Despite both signing with WWE last year, neither man have made their debut for the company, not even for the NXT brand, despite both men being at the Performance Center. In an update on the two Bloodline members' status from PW Insider, they have both been training at the PC, with them likely being set to hold off until the company is ready to debut them, not wanting to use them on camera until then. So if we get any more details on creative plans, we'll let you know in an upcoming video. Now, speaking of NXT and the Performance Center, that's where Jordynne Grace is at the moment. Former TNA Knockouts World Champion Jordynne Grace made her official WWE debut during the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble match after wrestling her last match at TNA Genesis pay-per-view. After signing with the company, there was speculation about what brand Grace would appear on, with her appearing at the end of WWE Vengeance Day last weekend, confirming that she will appear on the NXT brand moving forward. In an update to Jordynne's current contract status with the company, Mike Johnson of PW Insider notes that Grace is under a main roster contract despite appearing on the NXT brand. The decision for Jordynne to start in NXT was just a creative decision, with a report noting it's likely being done as a way for her to sharpen up her skills before moving up to the main roster. Now, going back to AEW Collision last night, we had some New Japan Pro Wrestling crossover on the show. Gabe Kidd brought his brand of violence to AEW TV, taking on the Butcher on the February 22nd episode of AEW Collision. Kidd was victorious in the bout, finishing off the Butcher with a lariat, followed by a pile driver. This was Kidd's first televised singles victory in All Elite Wrestling. Kidd has previously competed on AEW Rampage and Ring of Honor on Honor Club. He is the reigning New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight Champion. Now, Hologram, he also returned to the ring last night on AEW Collision after a lengthy injury absence. Hologram made a successful return to the ring on AEW Collision. Hologram picked up the victory over the Beast Mortos on the February 22nd episode of AEW Collision to remain undefeated in All Elite Wrestling. The finish saw Hologram flip up and over Mortos, hitting him with a sunset flip pin. Of course, as I mentioned, Mortos and Hologram faced off at Wrestle Dream. After the match last night on Collision, Mortos tried to unmask Hologram, but Commander made the save. This was Hologram's first match since AEW Wrestle Dream, when he suffered an injury against Beast Mortos in a 2 out of 3 falls match. He returned to AEW television on the February 8th episode of AEW Collision after a couple of weeks of vignettes aired, hyping up his return. Now, we're soon to find out who's going to be the next challengers for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. On the February 22nd AEW Collision, Brian Cage and Lance Archer, known as the Murder Machines, called out Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin after getting a strong win on the show. MVP came out with the AEW World Tag Team Champions and told Cage and Archer they had to defeat a real team if they wanted a shot at the gold. They seemingly agreed to those terms. Later during the broadcast, Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum, the Outrunners, saw MVP, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin in the locker room and angled to be the team that faces the Murder Machines. MVP greenlit the idea and said that the same rules apply. If the Outrunners win, they will earn themselves an opportunity at the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Now, it was repeated that the match would occur next week, but it's not confirmed for AEW Dynamite or Collision. Of course, we get an update for what show it's confirmed for. We'll let you know in an upcoming video. Now, it had been put out there, but now it's been officially confirmed. The steel cage match between Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher is official for AEW Revolution. Ospreay issued the challenge at AEW Grand Slam Australia. Fletcher accepted the match on the February 22nd episode of AEW Collision. Ospreay and Fletcher are 1-on-1 against each other. Fletcher won at AEW Full Gear 2024, while Ospreay won at AEW World's End 2024 as part of the AEW Continental Classic Tournament. Again, this match is now officially set for Revolution coming up very shortly. Now, several matches have been confirmed for AEW Dynamite next week on TBS. AEW announced that Brian Keith will look to collect the bounty set by Don Callis when he faces Will Ospreay on the February 26th episode of AEW Dynamite. Plus, Deonna Purrazzo will face off against Harley Cameron on the show on TBS. And finally, if you spotted this on Raw live on Monday, you won't be able to spot it anymore on Netflix. The February 17th episode was headlined by an Elimination Chamber qualifying match with Finn Balor facing off against Seth Rollins for a spot in the Chamber match. While Seth Rollins was ultimately victorious after almost 19 minutes of action, Balor's defeat almost actually came early, with Finn Balor kicking out of a pedigree, notably coming after referee Rod Zapata had already counted to a 3. The match continued and ended as planned, but fans noticed the misstep, which can be seen in this screen grab on the screen at the moment. The kick out has now been edited did on the Raw replay on Netflix. Instead of showing the entire pinfall uncut as they did live, the replay version of WWE Raw cuts to Balor kicking out and doesn't show the referee's hand hitting the mat for the third time. But there you go, guys. At least it's pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.